نبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد فأوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله فإنه حبل متين وعروة وثقى. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآله. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, first of all I advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I advise all of you for the same. Today is the first Jum'ah after the blessed month of Ramadan, the first Jum'ah after the day of Eid. The first Jum'ah was actually the day of Eid, but then the second Jum'ah of the month of Shawwal. And normally every year when we have this Friday prayer after the Eid al-Fitr, we go through some reminders, and I'm going to repeat some of those annual reminders which every year I offer to my brothers and sisters. And the first one is that Alhamdulillah, during the month of Ramadan, we made some good routines. We got into some good practices. We improved ourselves and we improved our daily actions and our daily performance of our a'mal. So now while the month of Ramadan is over and we have entered in the month of Shawwal, we should make special effort to continue those good practices, those good habits. Whatever we have achieved after investing the hard work of one full month of Ramadan, we have fasted, we have prayed, we have done our best, and it was considered like a camp, like a course. As we have gone somewhere for 1 month and we attended a camp or a refresher course, we got some training, and now when we come back, we are supposed to now make use of that and remember what we learned and try to build upon whatever we have achieved. So the reminder is that whatever good practices we had either developed or enhanced and we practiced during the month of Ramadan, so we should make an effort to continue. For example, many of us, I know this is very common and good thing about Muslims, that at least during the month of Ramadan, they become little more careful on, for example, with their daily prayers. There are some people that they pray their daily prayers, but sometimes they are not very strict about that. They will pray and they will miss some prayers. They will make some prayers, but on some other prayers they will miss. But during the month of Ramadan, most of the Muslims, they make effort to not miss their prayer. and they try to become very regular on their prayers. So it's a good practice. We should be doing that in our everyday of life, whether Ramadan or outside of Ramadan. But if we have been doing that for 1 month and we never missed our prayer, so now we should keep that habit and make a kind of resolution that we are not going to miss a prayer. The other thing, during the month of Ramadan, many people, they try to do their prayers on afdal time, on the prime time. This has been practiced. Most of the people try to do here the time of prayer enters and here they go to pray. Why? Because this is month of Ramadan, they are fasting and they want to do the prayer on afdal time. This is a good practice. And it's not written anywhere that you should do it only in the month of Ramadan. It's a good practice. We should do it anyhow in any month of the calendar. Another good practice which most of us we had during the month of Ramadan was to recite Quran on daily basis. Well, Quran is supposed to be recited every day. It's a book which we are supposed to recite every day. But for a variety of reasons, we start doing it and then something happens and then we stop and then we quit. Now, while we have been reciting the Quran during the month of Ramadan every day, so we should keep it. It's a good practice. Even one page of Quran, reciting every day with translation, with some reflection, that's a good practice. We should continue doing this. And this is something that because we have learned this during the month of Ramadan, that we were reciting Quran, so now we will continue, make a resolution, make a commitment with yourself, write it down somewhere in your daily routines, and then maintain it. This is another good thing. Similarly, Nawafil. Many people don't care about Nawafil. They are only into the Wajibat, while Nawafil are very recommended. And there are so many ahadith by Prophet and Imam alayhimu salatu wassalam emphasizing on performing Nawafil. But in busy schedules or this culture which we have, many people won't do Nawafil. But since we have been doing Nawafil during the month of Ramadan, so it's a good practice. We should continue doing our Nawafil because we have been doing it for 1 month. Now we should. It's easy to continue. Some people had started praying Salatul Layl, Namaz-e-Shab, Tahajjud is highly recommended prayer. The greatest sawab which we get is from Salatul Layl. Many people don't do it, but during the month of Ramadan, people started doing Salatul Layl. So it was a good practice. And if we were doing in the month of Ramadan, so we should try to continue doing this. And this is also a benefit which we have taken from the month of Ramadan. Similarly, Sadaqah, charity, we are supposed to do it whenever we get the chance, and we should do it often. But the month of Ramadan, people are more kind of inclined to do sadaqah, to do khairat, to do the charity, and to invite people for iftar or offer them some funds for the iftar. So this is a good practice. We have learned during the month of Ramadan, so we should keep that spirit of charity and always be looking for some opportunities. And wherever we see there is opportunity for making some donation, some sadaqah, some khairat, some zakat, whatever, so we should go ahead and do it. So we are keeping the spirit of the month of Ramadan with us. Similarly, it has been noticed that because of the spiritual environment of the month of Ramadan, many of us become little bit more careful when we speak, when we look at things. So we try to control our eyes, our tongue, because we are fasting. So if we have practiced that for 1 month, that we have avoided from lying or from spreading rumors or from false accusations or from so many other things, so now we should keep that spirit of month of Ramadan and keep our tongue and our eyes and our ears in control, because we have been doing it and we did it almost for 1 month of Ramadan. So it's good to continue. And also many of us, when I'm saying I speak on behalf of, meaning the entire ummah, it's not only for myself or only you sitting in front of me, generally, meaning we as an ummah, during the month of Ramadan we are more careful and we avoid from indulging in sinful actions, sinful deeds. We try to avoid. We don't commit sins frequently or openly or excessively during the month of Ramadan. We try to avoid from it because we think this is a holy month, this is the month of Ramadan, and we should stay away from it. So if we have practiced it for 1 month, so it's better to continue doing this, and we should avoid from the indulging into sinful practices. So these are some of the reminders, my brothers and sisters, first for myself and then for all of the brothers and sisters, that we have attended an Ilahi camp of month of Ramadan. We have attended a course, a 1 month long course and training, and we have just come out from it. So we should try to protect our achievements, and whatever we have attained, whatever we have learned, whatever we have practiced, we should try to protect it, we should try to keep it with us, and we should not waste whatever we have achieved. Please recite a salawat. One more reminder, which is again in the same line. We all understand that while there are categories of fastings, there are wajib fastings, there are haram fastings, there are makruh fastings, and there are mustahab fastings. I am sure ulama have spoken about it during the month of Ramadan, and I don't have to now go into the details. There are the wajib fastings, or these fastings of month of Ramadan, or if we had made any nadhr for fasting and that nadhr is fulfilled, or ahd, then those fastings are wajib. Or when we missed some fastings and then qada of those fastings is wajib on us to go ahead and take care of those fastings. So similarly, there are fastings which are haram, makruh. Today I am just mentioning the mustahab fastings. There is a long list of those fasts which are recommended and mustahab. But out of them, I will mention you, please recite a salawat. I will just talk about 3 fasts every month to maintain the spirit of fasting. That we have fasted for 1 month, now we want to maintain the spirit of fasting during the other months. And this is highly recommended that one should fast 3 days in every lunar Islamic calendar month. From Haram till, for example, Dhul Hijjah, and the month of Ramadan, of course, is the month of Wajib fasting. So these 3 fasts are the first Thursday of every month. And when we say every month, we are talking about the Islamic lunar month. First Thursday of every month, and then the last Thursday of every month, 2 fasts. The third one is the first Wednesday after 10th of the month. So look at the calendar, the 10th, and then after the 10th, whatever is the first Wednesday, that Wednesday. So these are the 3 fasts. If you look in the Risala, Amaliya, Tawdihul Masail of your Marja Taqleed, it is written there. Kitabus Sawm, and in the chapter of Sawm, look into the Mustahab fasts, you will find these 3 fasts. First Thursday, last Thursday, and the first Wednesday after the 10th of the month. This is the minimum. Now the sawab of these 3 fasts is that if you fast 3 days, and Allah has a criteria that minimum He gives you 10 times what you do for Him, so He multiplies it to 10 times at the minimum. So if you fast 3 days, it is as equal that you have fasted 30 days. So what is happening here, that if you have fasted for 3 days every month, it is that as you have fasted the entire year. The month of Ramadan, you have fasted the whole month, every month, 3 fasts equal to the fasting 30 days. So you have fasted for entire year. So that helps, my brothers and sisters. These were a few reminders that kindly keep in mind so we can maintain the spirit of the month of Ramadan, we can maintain the spirituality, we can keep the achievements and the benefits which we have learned or which we have achieved and which we have got from during the month of Ramadan. Recite salawat. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, in second khutbah also I would like to advise myself for taqwa, parhezgari and piety, and then I would like to advise you all for the same. We don't have much time in hand, but still there are some important matters that we need to talk about. Today is 8th of Shawwal, a very tragic day in Muslims' history. on 8th of Shawwal 1343 Hijri Qamari, these Najdi, Saudi, Takfiri forces, they attacked on this sacred cemetery of Muslims in Medina known as Al-Baqi. Al-Baqi is a very distinguished and historical cemetery of Muslims where approximately 10,000 Muslims of very high caliber are buried. Many relatives of Prophet, even according to some riwayat, the father of Prophet, Hazrat Abdullah, was buried there before Islam. The uncle of Prophet, Abbas, the wives of Prophet, and his uncles, his cousins, his other relatives, and particularly 4 of our Imams, Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba, Imam Zainul Abidin, Imam Muhammad al-Baqir, and Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhimu salatu wassalam, all of them are buried. Prophet's son Ibrahim from Maria Qabtiya is also buried there. Recite the salawat. So it's a very historic place. It's a history of Islam. And this cemetery, as I mentioned last night, was there from before Islam. Before Prophet migrated to Medina, this was the cemetery of that town of Medina. But then when the entire city or most of the people of the city of Medina, they converted to Islam, so it became now a Muslim cemetery. And in the books of Ahlul Sunnah and Ahlul Tashayyu, both sides, on the both side of aisle, it is written in the books by all scholars that Prophet was used to visit this cemetery on a regular basis. And he was used to go there, visit this cemetery, and pray for these people who were buried there. This was the established sunnah of Prophet. And this was the established sunnah of the Sahaba of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. And I mentioned these things in detail last night. I don't have time to get into all the details. I'm just trying to give you a summary. It was established sunnah of the Prophet and Ahlul Bayt and Sahaba to go and visit this cemetery. And not only this cemetery, Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt and some other Sahaba would regularly go to visit the cemetery of Uhud, where the Shuhada of Uhud were buried. We have riwayat from both sides that they would go from Medina all the way to Uhud to pray for those Shuhada and pay respect to those Shuhada. This tradition continued for almost 1200 years. For 1200 years, there was no objection, and this was a regular practice. And Muslim Ummah, their scholars, their ulama, their solaha, their awliya, they would go and visit all their local graveyards, and they would write in their books that it is recommended to go and visit these graveyards so that you remember maut. You remember death. And you also pray for amwat. Then what happened? A psychopath by the name of Ibn Taymiyyah in 8th century, after the attack of Mongols in Muslim lands, sits down and concludes that all this what has happened, it is because Muslims are not Muslims anymore and they have become mushrik and they are worshipping the graves and they are doing tawassul to these awliya, and since they had become mushrik, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent this azab of Mongolian attack. And he draws his own theory and his own conclusions, and he made it haram and shirk that if you go and visit a grave, if you go and visit the graveyard, it is as you have committed sin and you have become mushrik. Certain other things also he added to it. In his entire life, he was rejected by his contemporaries, by all the scholars of his time. He was being removed and thrown out from one village to other, from one city to other. Finally, he was put in a jail and he died in jail because of these weird views. He had a student by the name of Ibn Qayyim. He was the only one who towed his line for some time. But again, after the death of Ibn Qayyim and after the death of Ibn Taymiyyah, this fitna was almost kind of wiped out. Because the ummah, the scholars, the ulama, and the majority of the people, they rejected it. Nobody bought it. Then after some time, what happens that there is another psychopath by the name of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab Najdi from Najd, Saudi Arabia. He stands up with the same views. And first of all, he was disowned by his own father, Abdul Wahhab. Abdul Wahhab was a qazi and a man of good reputation. The father himself rejected his son, disowned his son, and then his own brother, Sulaiman bin Abdul Wahhab, he condemned his brother, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab, and wrote a book in rejection of Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. The man got rejected at his own home, in his own family. Then he was also being removed from one town to other, from one city to other, from one village to other. Finally, he got a connection with this Saud family. And a British spy. And this connection was made that there is a British connection, there is this tribal terrorist connection with the Saud family, and then this Sheikh, Muhammad bin Abdul Wahhab. And they started, now their main thing was that Muslims have become mushrik. Their biggest weapon was to consider Muslims, if you don't agree with them, if you don't agree with their theory, you are mushrik. And because you are mushrik, so it is lawful to kill you and take whatever you have as male ghanimat. And they started doing that from that Najd area. They attacked on different villages, they attacked on different cities, they killed so many people, and then slowly, they were able to take over. On Hijaz, they went in Makkah, they went in Medina, they destroyed all those graves and graveyards, and they kept doing that. And this tragedy which we are talking about, 8th of Shawwal, 1343, 21st April 1925. It was 21st of April 1925 when the sacred cemetery Al-Baqi was destroyed in Medina. Then, of course, meaning they started writing books, and as I said, their main themes, what they have is that building a grave or visiting a grave or doing tawassul with Anbiya and Awliya. These are all haram things and they are shirk. Shafa'at, there is no shafa'at in Islam, it is shirk. If you ask shafa'at from Prophet or Aima or Awliya, it is shirk. If you visit the graves, it is shirk. If you build the grave, it is shirk. Everything is shirk, 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 shirk. Bid'ah, 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 bid'ah. And a very extremist view of Islam. They were a bunch of terrorists, a bunch of thieves, robbers, that who did all that in the entire Hijaz. And then they went out of Hijaz and they went all the way to Iraq. And they attacked on Najaf and they attacked on Karbala. And they martyred so many people in Karbala and Najaf, and they again looted the city. They went all the way to Jordan, Syria, Yemen. This is all what they were doing. And collecting the gold and silver and money and belongings of people and bringing and then establishing themselves as a stronger entity. So, later on what happened because of the petrodollar, and now Mohammed bin Salman is on record that this was the CIA which was helping them, covering them, requesting them, asking them to spend millions of dollars in different Muslim countries to take people to this extreme. He himself has acknowledged that we spent, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia spent billions of dollars on the request of CIA to go and do the publicity of this extreme view of Islam. And this is how you see that these people who were never there within about last 70, 80 years, now you go everywhere, you see a big masjid, a madrasa, a Darul Ulum, and these Wahhabi and these Najdi Muslims and Muftis and everywhere, and they have now their own TV stations. They have their own big schools and learning places and all that, businesses and everything within 70, 80 years. And then what they did eventually, we all know that 9/11, we all know the fitna of Taliban, we all know this fitna of Daesh, we all know all these extremist offshoots which are everywhere. They are all coming from the same Shajara Khabisa. So my brothers and sisters, just wanted to let you know the history, the background. But my purpose is not only to just criticize them. The purpose is that we, as the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam, have a duty. We have a responsibility. As we commemorate this 8th of Shawwal, we need to learn about them, and then we need to rescue our Ahlul Sunnah brothers and sisters from their, what you call their influence. We have much in common with Ahlul Sunnah. Ahlul Sunnah and Ahlul Tashayyu, Sunni and Shia, they are truly brothers. And our leadership, our Maraje Taqleed, first our old Maraje, then Imam Khomeini, and then Ayatollah Sistani, and Ayatollah Khamenei, and all of them, they have given fatwas and statements that Shia and Sunni, they are brothers. We believe in that brotherhood of Muslims. But this fitna, this takfiri fitna, this Najdi fitna, this Saudi fitna, This extremist version of Islam, it needs to be confronted. And we need to somehow build a movement, build an initiative to write about them, to talk about them, to collect the documentaries, the materials, and then we need to go and rescue our Sunni brothers and Sunni sisters from the influence of these monarchies and from these corrupt leaders and from these corrupt ulama and from this extremist bayaniya or narrative of Islam. So, it's a lot of work. We need to find some time to first learn, and then we need to find some time to become an activist in this area. We need to write about it, we need to talk about it, we need to be more active on social media and try to be part of this movement and this campaign of exposing them, confronting them, and isolating them and marginalizing them, and offering them the proper Islamic view, proper Islamic narrative, the mainstream narrative of Islam, of Quran and Ahlul Bayt and the Sunnat of Prophet Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. Recite salawat. And I'm sure that you know what is this Zionist regime. While it is attacking on Iran, Iran is still in a different position, but they are attacking on the people of Lebanon. Right now, in the headlines, it is only Iran and Israel and America. But what is happening in Lebanon, that is not being covered. Our Lebanese brothers and sisters are under brutal attack. And we need to talk about them. We need to bring this in the light. We need to talk about it, and we need to condemn the both wars. Both wars are illegal, immoral, unauthorized, and criminal. And they have no basis, and they are destroying the peace in the area, in the region, and now having the impact on international level. So instead of keeping quiet, we need to talk about these issues. We need to find the right news, the proper news, the verified news, and then we need to share with one another, and we need to build a narrative, and we need to finally make them sit on their right place. We should pray for them, we should remember them in our prayers and thoughts, and we should speak for them, we should defend them, we should defend the Muslim, we should stand with Muslim, we should stand with our brothers and sisters, and we need to keep that in mind. That is our duty, that is our responsibility, my brothers and sisters, and I hope that everyone is doing that. Recite salawat. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين علي بن أبي طالب صلى الله عليه وعلى سيدة نساء العالمين فاطمة الزهراء وعلى الحسن والحسين سيدي شباب أهل الجنة وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وعلى آبائه الكرام متصل الليالي والأيام. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى: إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون.